Did you buy a Ford or any other truck and the heater core blew out? Rather than ripping the dash all apart, grab yourself a diesel heater and pop it under the seat. Welcome to Steinfab Wrenches in the Dirt, because there's no garage. Let's get into it. I've gone ahead and ordered two 8 kilowatt diesel heaters. On the left, we have the all-in-one unit. I recommend using this if you have a spot to fit it in your truck, because install is just literally so easy. This over here is essentially the same thing, but it's broken down into a kit. Installing this is 10 times simpler than this. I've chosen to use the kit for a couple reasons. The first reason is space. The Ford doesn't have enough room for this whole unit. This one will slide under the back seat. The second reason is it's actually my buddy's truck and his kids ride in there, so I just don't want diesel in the truck. It comes with this mounting plate, so I will need to trim a piece of carpet, mount this plate, and that will get me the heater rough installed. Then from there, I will have to find a spot to mount the controller, probably on the dash, run all the wiring, mount the fuel pump, run the fuel lines, and the hardest part will be taking care of the fuel tank. The F250 is not diesel. That makes it more complicated. If it was diesel, I would just tap into the factory tank. Let's go ahead and just get right into it. This plate needs to go in the truck. So, I'm a level with you guys. I never even tried to fit that thing back here. It doesn't fit. The back seat folds forward and it makes like a platform when you fold this down. Super cool, and I'd hate to lose that functionality. Initially, I had planned to just fit it right under here, which once again, it almost fits. When you fold it, this swings downward, and this is a metal plate. Based on the arc, it swings down to here, which is into the diesel heater. You can mount it in this center console. It pretty much fits in, and once you cut a hole in the front and the back for the heat output and the air intake, it will sit flat. But then the exhaust and intake are gonna be right over the transmission. That's gonna be a nightmare to get to. So I don't want to do that. This project has become more involved than I was expecting. Some of the only dead space that is like truly dead is under this passenger seat. So I'm gonna raise the seat. This is not the point of the video, so here's the 30-second how to raise the seat. $15mm, 4 bolts. Once we have the brackets off, we can remove the rails from the seats. I was gonna get longer studs here and shim it right here. I think it's gonna be easier to space the rails. These are 10mm. And now we just gotta find a spacer to go right here and some longer bolts. Of course, you guys know I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need. Here's the old hardware, here's the replacement. Total, it came to $16.62. Here are the prices, but they might vary based on the store you have. Bolt, we have 8x125 by 65, 4 of those. Spacer, 3/8 by 1/2 inch by 1.5 inches, 4 of those. Can be seen right here. 1/4 inch washers, 8 of them. 5/16 washers, 4 of them. I initially didn't have the 5/16 larger washer. I didn't like the way it was sitting in here. So I drove all the way back to town and got more stuff. But it yields us with this. Covers that up nice and gives this a nice mounting surface. I want this to be rigid and not lose torque over time. I've also tested the depth. This has full thread engagement on the riv nut thing all the way through. The way the spacer fits on this side of the rail is great, so I'm putting the washer on the head of the bolt. Just like that. Spacer, washer, washer. Seat is raised. Now I'll go ahead and pop the mounting brackets on, and this thing will be ready to go back in. It's definitely tight, but it's gonna fit. The metal frame slides just above it. So 1.5 inches plus 2 washers is the minimum you can go. It's not crazy obvious that the seat's raised. And I can still fit in here fine. Did I break this shit? No, this thing's a piece of shit. It does feel pretty high for me, but I'm like 6 foot. I still have decent headroom. No problem at all. Let's move into mounting the heater. I've placed the plate on the heater. So now I want to position this where I want it. I think right there will be good. Now, before I mark it, I'm going to look under the truck and see if I got room. And it looks clear as day minus some supports. That's where I want it, so that's where it's going. You'll slide a hair backward. Try to center it up between your seat studs. Now I'm gonna get a grinder and cut the carpet out. I might actually use a razor blade. Couple of layers of carpet. Use a brand new blade. It makes the results so much better. If we look under the truck right in line with this, you see that support I was talking about? That's gonna make it so you need long bolts to mount it. I'm just gonna put self-tapping screws into this thing. It will be fine. Next, we're gonna drill these holes. 1 1/8 or 29 millimeters fits perfectly in there. So I'm gonna mark center and drill there. The drill's smoking. And it looks like I aimed right over the frame, so that's gonna kind of suck. So yeah, I messed up. The frame is straight through that hole. So I could have picked like literally anywhere else, but I picked the worst spot. And I could have checked, but I just sent it and it's not happy right there. So I've measured the studs in the truck and calculated the max I can push. And it is about 6 1/4. So that is about where we're sitting right now, if you visually line everything up. And the reason that's the max is it's about to hit the rail to move the seat forward and back. I'm gonna move the bracket and re-drill. Trimmed it a little, got it all good. This plate covers that hole and I can mount this plate. So I can actually mount it on all 4 studs. Whoo, thought I screwed up for a minute. I also left the plate kind of angled. That way the front of the heater is away from the adjustment bar. Perfect. Now it can clear the frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill in the next hole. The intake actually might be an issue. I might have to come ream that out to the side. There we go. Now it will kick to the side. Holes are drilled. Next I'm gonna drill the mounting holes. I'm actually going to ream it out this way so I can get to the nut. Nice. Oh, fuel line. Okay, here goes the first test fit. Oh yeah, the carpet's pushing it up a bit, but that's okay. The studs will tighten it down. I'm gonna go ahead and try to make that one more mountable to a nut. The other 3 look good. Then I can bolt this thing down and test fit the seat. Yeah, looking at that, cancel that. I'm just gonna mount it on 3. I'm not worried about that one. I 100% just had a realization that I should have just blasted giant holes in here because of the mounting plate. So if you wanted this one to work, just put a big ass hole saw in here and it will mount to the plate. I already did what I did, so I'm just gonna bolt it down on 3.
All this stuff is extremely sharp, so be careful.
I got all 3 tight. That ain't going nowhere. Right, little unicorn?
No, that ain't going nowhere.
Test fit looks really good. Check it out. Plenty of room. I still have 3/4, maybe an inch here, so I could have pushed it even more out, but it turned out great. Let's move into some wiring now. I've gone ahead and separated it. We have the positive, that's gonna go to the battery. We have the negative, that's gonna go to ground. This lead runs to the fuel pump. That I'll worry about later. And this one goes to the controller. The controller comes with a mount. It pops off. Better if you have 2 hands. Struggle bus over here. I promise it comes off. I can't get it off. So let's go run down the basics of what we're gonna do. The battery is luckily on the passenger side, so that should be easy, right? Just go through the firewall, right? Right? No. Ford said F you. But yes, we're going through there somewhere. I don't know. Controller. Controller, I'm gonna mount right here. I don't know what this is. I don't care. It's getting 2 self-tappers. Boom, mounted. Not my truck, good enough. This plugs into the main harness right here. I will figure out a ground point somewhere around here. Maybe just run a self-tapper straight into here. I hate when I buy cars with a bunch of stuff self-tapped together, but if I do it, it's okay. Get in there. Go in your home. You do good for your home. You do good. Yeah, it just doesn't want to mount because of the screws. So, yeah, it's good. Controller's mounted. Next up, I'm going to connect the controller to this. I just need to feed this under the carpet from here up through here. Pretty self-explanatory. It's not going to be fun. One of my tricks for running wiring in hard to reach places is tie wire. Give it a bend like this, hook your cable, then electrical tape this together. And I tape the other end, that way the wire can't come unhooked. I decided to use my brain and feed the positive through at the same time. I don't want to feed this fuse holder, so I'm going to go ahead and depin it so I can just run the wire. Depinning this is going really bad, so here's a simple solution. Now I will butt connector this by the battery. Nice, I can pull this back pretty well. There we are. I'm going super simple on the ground. It is getting this terminal right here and a self-tapper into the mounting plate. I don't like these, so I'm taking that off. Little heat, then it will come off. Then I get some heat shrink. This is marine grade stuff from Harbor Freight. Slide that on. I'm gonna strip it back just a hair more. Like that. Twist it. I leave it out like that so the screw will grab it a little bit and that will be like direct contact. And I'll give it a crimp and heat shrink it. Now I'm gonna tape this up to try to keep it clean. And now I can screw it to whatever. Ground's good. Back to the controller. Plug this in. Once again, I will just try to wad this up and tape it to keep everything looking neat. Actually, I'll throw a little zip tie on this. Then shove it down in the carpet. Controller's done. Positive. Time to go through the firewall. I decided to open the glove box and see if there was a fuse block right here I could just tap. Unfortunately, no, there's not. But I do see daylight right through there. So that's where I'm going. Try to point this a little bit more. And it looks like that was the heater core line. As you can see, both of them are bypassed, and that's why I'm doing this diesel heater. I made a mistake and it's wrapped around this unit. I should have gone behind it, so I'm gonna pull it back through, and I'm pretty close on wire, so I think that will make it reach. Now back through. I pulled this out of the positive terminal. Now I am gonna make this fit on here, and this will go directly to the positive. I want it as close as possible, because if it arcs, let's say going through the firewall, I don't want it to burn the truck down, just blow this fuse. As you can see, this is quite a bit bigger, so I'm gonna fold the wire so it's twice as thick in here. Nice. And here is our battery terminal. I am gonna heat shrink over this, so I shrunk one just to find the one that fits tightest. We got power. Everything's wired up except the fuel pump. I'm cold, it's dark, definitely in the home stretch. The main thing tomorrow is gonna be mounting the fuel tank and running lines to it. Then from there, quick little intake. I'll probably cut it like an inch short, done. And that's actually the intake, but that is the output. Get those on, fuel pump, exhaust. Whew. See you guys tomorrow. Let's go ahead and get the intake on. Screw this thing into it. Add a hose clamp.
Slide over the intake.
Tighten.
This would be a million times easier if you just cut a big hole.
Air output. I don't tighten side number 2 crazy tight so that it can just be removed if you want it blowing straight. I didn't end up trimming this down at all. That way Joey can trim it however he wants or bend it like that. Now I'm gonna move on to the exhaust. I am gonna run a muffler. The only reason I'm running a muffler is so that I can double up the exhaust. I'm essentially just using it as a coupler so that I can get the exhaust out from under the cab. If you need a longer exhaust tube, you can order some on Amazon. And I did this so it will radiate more heat before it goes outside. The bolt it comes with is 8mm. Touching the frame, but that's okay. It's pretty close to the intake, but if anything, it will preheat the air going in, so that's fine. And it's actually gonna work out perfect to mount the muffler right on this member right here. Exhaust is done. I got it past the cab, which is what I wanted. Bent it down at the end in case water or something gets up in it. At this point, I'm done with everything except the fuel system. And it is the part I've dreaded this whole time. I pulled apart one of the units to think about mounting that tank. It's only 5 liters. This one's 10 liters. I've played with the idea of mounting it in here. And you won't lose too much bed space, but I just don't like it. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fender liner and see what I'm working with. 2 screws, 10mm, 13. It will fit. I will have to trim metal up here to get to the filler neck. This is pretty much what I've decided on, and there's a couple reasons. One, with the fender liner down, I can still access the filler cap right here. And two, it's gonna be the easiest to mount. What I'm gonna do is just run some metal straps and self-tap it into stuff. And I'll drill my lowest point right over here for the fuel to flow. This is what I'm gonna be using. I don't know what it's called. Some of you guys might. If you do, leave a comment. 3/8 drill bit. Tie wire. I can slide this over and this will guide it to the hole. O-ring, nuts a 12 millimeter. Perfect. I'm swapping hardware to this. I'm gonna take some extra strap, put it over these nuts, put another nut on it, and screw it to some random stuff, just get it braced. And here it is, 100% done. I just ran a bunch of straps to everything. It still shakes a little bit, but with the weight of diesel holding it taut, it will be good. Pump time. The pump flow is toward the connector. Slide it in the bracket. I don't want the fuel pump higher than the gas tank. And the frame rail goes up toward the gas tank. So I'm gonna mount it over here by the intake. There's a bunch of holes already drilled. And you want it slightly pointed upwards, so I'm gonna mount it right here. Now I'm gonna run a line and zip tie it to the frame. Got the line run. Not cutting a giant hole up here was a huge mistake. I spent 10 minutes getting that on. It was so hard. Now I'm gonna go ahead and run the wire to the fuel pump. No matter what I seem to do, I can't figure out how to depin these. So I'm gonna cut this and then I can just run a little grommet and drill a hole. I'm gonna cut these at different lengths so that I know which goes where. This one's a little too tight, so I'm gonna go with this one right here. Looks like I will drill 5/16. I'll come back with some zip ties and put this exactly where I want it. But now that it's connected, I can pull it tight. Now butt connector them back together. Go ahead and wrap all the extra wire up. Got it looking nice and clean. That's it. I'm done with everything now. I'm so stoked to be done with this. Let's go buy some diesel and fire it up. So it holds about 2 gallons. I've seen quite a few comments on my other video asking about priming these things. The reality is you don't really need to prime them. Yes, it would help, but if you just try to start it 3 times, it's gonna prime itself. To prove that, I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up.
Start heating.
Now let's go watch it and see what it does. Made it to the pump and it just started getting up into this section of the line and it hit a failure, but that's our first attempt. It does like a 30-second try, takes a break, and then does another 30-second try. So that's 1 cycle. I'm gonna shut it down, start it again. This time we should get ignition because it's primed all the way to the pump.
Stop heating. Start heating.
Sounds like we had a little ignition. It's trying right now. I'll just let it keep going. And yeah, we have warm air. This is its first fire ever. It's on high. I'm just gonna leave it on high. Let it run for 10 minutes and just get everything burning off, all the plastic smells. I'm gonna go ahead and put the seat back in while I'm waiting. I went ahead and put the intake on and pointed it toward the center of the truck. Fits great. You don't even know it's in there unless you're cold and you turn it on. That's how to mount a diesel heater under the passenger seat. If this video at all helped you out, please leave a comment and let me know. Sometimes I wonder why I make some of the videos I do, so I'd like to know whether it actually helps anyone out. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next project. So I guess there's a blizzard right now. The day I picked up this truck, it wasn't this cold, and it sucked. Very comfortable now with this heater. It's great. Your seat has a dildo.
I'm gonna sit on it. Did you go under here?
Yeah, it's under the seat.
What?
So I had to raise the seat.
Oh, it does look higher.
Yeah, it's an inch and a half raised. But I mean, you don't sit over there, so it.
That's tight.
Yeah. So you can chop this down to how you want, but right now it's like you can point it at windows and stuff.
I think I'll just leave it like that.
Yeah, and you can, if you just pull it, it comes right off, you know?
Oh.
So you can just let it blow straight forward too. I don't know, you can do whatever you want. The world is yours, brother.
Yeah, it's neat. It's so fancy now.
This is where you fill back here.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta add a zip tie to this. It's a little loose.
Oh, there's the inlet too. Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's exhaust, inlets over there. Everything's there.
That one?
Yeah. Oh. That one. Now like hit down over there. Yeah, turn it down a couple notches. It's on max right now.
Damn.
Yeah, hear it turning down? Pretty cool, right?
Sick.
And if you want to power it off, you just hold the power button. See, it starts counting down. When it hits all the way, it goes off. Pretty cool, right?
That's tight.
Yeah, so you can start it from your house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or more freezing.
Yeah, when I picked this truck up, it had no heat and it sucked. So it's way nicer now. On my other video, I see a lot of comments about a bunch of heat being wasted. 100% true. I agree with all of you. That was my little solution right there. Of course, it would be better to listen to you guys and build a radiator heat exchanger system. I haven't gotten to it. Don't know if I will. It works good enough for what I need. This short little exhaust definitely wastes a lot of heat just straight out the wall. But this room's so small that it heats it no problem. If you're curious if I'm still trying to figure out how to run waste oil in these, I am. I've broken these two units, and this one's definitely hurt from running waste oil, but it's still going. Also, I've seen a couple comments as to whether the new pump fixed the old heater. It did not. It made zero change. The stock pump was not the issue. The issue is the burner gets all clogged up. So I have some burners on order. I got some tests going on. We will have an update video when I make it work. I was expecting it to work in video number 1. So I'm not gonna do like 10 videos of it not working. I'm gonna make it work, then give you guys a video.